Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 6 of Nerd Herder Show. I'm Rich.
I'm Nick.
Again, we're the Over Beer channel, and today we're going to be talking about what we've been up to this past week. So Nick, you want to start us off with what you've been up to?
Sure thing. I've been up to a lot this week.
Okay.
So I'm gonna, typically we try and keep this to 1 or 2. Impossible this week, they say. But I'll try and keep them brief. So I started playing the game Until Dawn.
Okay.
Which is Sony exclusive, PlayStation 4 exclusive. For those who don't know what the game is, it's basically a horror game. It's kind of almost like a choose your own adventure type deal where every single character in the game is expendable.
Mm-hmm.
It's really played out in the style of some of the recent like Telltale games like Walking Dead, stuff like that if you've played those, Wolf Among Us, that type of thing, where it's more like making choices and the choices that you make affect everything. There's not much, it's not like a shooting game, although there's a little bit so far. I haven't beat the game yet, but I'm a few hours into it, maybe like 3 or 4. But it's like a 6-hour game, so that's pretty heavy into it. This game, it basically is like set up like a classic like slasher type thing. A bunch of friends go to this cabin type thing in the woods, and there's a killer somewhere. You don't know who it is. Has like an all-star cast of like mo-capped actors. Peter Stormare, who people should know, he's a great character actor. You have Hayden Panettiere, the dude who played Mr. Robot in that show. He doesn't play Mr. Robot, but the lead of Mr. Robot, and then also Ward from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., among others. So, have you played this game yet?
I have not played this game. It's been on my list of things to play, and I've just got too much kind of sitting that I'm working on right now to...
Gotcha. I picked it up. I got a good deal on it, and with Halloween having just happened, it seemed like a good time to at least start this game, and it has not disappointed at all. I was excited about it because the idea always sounded cool to me. Just playing through a horror movie, really, the idea that every character could die at any point, and like that's such an interesting concept, and it's pretty cool. It has a lot of jump scares, where almost to the point where sometimes it's like, why is that in there? Like there'll be like a point and they're like walking through the woods and like there's like a ghoulish like mask will pop up in like an abandoned car. It's like, the hell is that there for? Like just to make people jump.
It's like that scene in Community where the cat keeps jumping.
Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly. But a lot of the characters I would also say they're characters of the role that they play. There's the jock, there's the dumb blonde, there's this and the bully, the kind of mean guy, the jokey guy, and they all fit their roles pretty exactly how you would expect them to. But at the same time, you do get to know the characters. You get to, it revolves what character you're playing, and so you do start to at least know them as characters. And I've had a couple of characters die, and you're like, oh man, I didn't want that character to die, yet at least. So it's a pretty effective game. I would definitely recommend it to anyone, and it definitely is going to be a game, even with a short campaign, that I could definitely see replaying, at least on a yearly basis, try and make different choices, trying to get different outcomes. Check it out for sure. It's Until Dawn. Couple other video game things. Destiny, the Taken King, which I've talked about on previous shows, just put out an update the week of Halloween that kind of made like the tower, the hub world that you go on, kind of Halloween themed. Okay. And I heard about this, and honestly, I think it's a little bit goofy, because like you go and you visit like one of the people that there's people in the tower that you'd always talk to, like there's the gunsmith and there's the postmaster and there's the person that gives you your missions, etc. And you go and talk to one of them, and they give you a bag, and they're like, go around and talk to all the people that you would normally talk to and collect candy. It's like a candy bag, but like they don't really give you candy. It's like you're trick-or-treating, but they give you like coins and masks that you can wear. But like there's like this like one weirdo who was like the woman who gave you the first expansion stuff, and the first expansion's pretty small and weak, and nobody really cared about it. And she gives you like a box of old raisins, and this isn't like the kind of game that would do that. Like it just came off as like really, it's cool that they did it. You know, it's not like you paid for it, but it was really random.
This to me sounds like that thing Nintendo's been doing a lot recently, where it's like, here's this either bizarre game or serious game, and we're gonna give you costumes for our characters. Like it's a fun thing to have, but not. It's kind of weird. Like I know the new Fatal Frame just came out, and there's a thing where it's like, oh, you get Nintendo costumes, and it's like.
Right. It's weird. I mean, it was kind of, like, it was at first I was like, that's cool, I'm trick or treating in Destiny, and then I was like, what the fuck am I trick or treating in Destiny? So that's that. Quick mention there. And then one of the biggest games of the year came out this week, and I was sure to get it.
Okay.
And that is Halo 5. Went to the midnight release. To the best of my knowledge, I've been to every Halo midnight release now since Halo 2. Halo 1 kind of came out and Combat Evolved came out of nowhere. And so if there's a Halo game out, I'm going to pick it up. And, you know, I'm like very minimally into this game.
Okay.
I've played the first 2 missions, haven't tried any of the online play yet. But the first mission, you know, the game opens up with the cinematic that is like literally the opening of Avengers Age of Ultron, where it's like that, you know, the ongoing shot and they're all going, and it goes from character to character and they're doing crazy stuff, and it actually ends with all of the characters jumping and freeze. Like it's like, all right, we get it, you saw Ultron. I'm sure some people thought that was cool. I just was like, all right, you just ripped off Marvel, cool. But the first mission, you know, I was kind of like, I don't know, I'm not feeling it. Not totally, it's okay, but then the second mission was much longer. You play as Master Chief. I should also say in the first one you play more as like the ODST team. In the second one you're Master Chief and his team. I was way more into it. It was way better. I'm excited to get further into the story and see where it goes. So I'll have more Halo 5 impressions as I beat the campaign. Stay tuned for that. I've got 2 movies to talk about, but did you want to jump in with a couple things?
Sure, I mean I can. You know, whatever. I'll take over.
Take over for
my week's been a little bit slower than yours, so I really only have 2 things to talk about.
All right.
I started Zelda Triforce Heroes. So if you guys don't know, it's kind of the new. It's not really a main series Zelda. It's kind of just a spin-off Zelda. It's similar to sort of what they try to do with like Four Swords Adventure and things like that. The idea is that there's 3 of you and you have to work together to complete dungeons. It's not really set up in a normal Zelda style where there's an overworld and you're kind of going from place to place. There's kind of just like a hub world and he sends you off on kind of missions. It's like, oh, here's the forest. Here's the first part of the forest level. It's meant to be played with 3 players. I don't play a lot of multiplayer. I played by myself. And what you do for that, instead of having all 3 players active, they're called, I think, doppels in the game. So they're like these little totems, and you just switch back and forth between each of them for what you need to do. So sometimes what will happen is there will be something you need to shoot that's on the 3rd tier, like the 3rd height, so you have to stack both people on top of you and have the top person shoot it and things like that. I'm not super far into it. So far I'm enjoying it. It's not amazing. It definitely feels kind of like it's a fun little spin-off Zelda. It's not getting that satisfying that crave for a full Zelda, but it's just it's getting that itch a little bit. It's not in Hyrule. It's called Hytopia. It's in a place called Hytopia. From what they've said, is it's supposed to be the same Link from, if you're into the whole timeline thing, it's the same Link from Link Between Worlds. He stumbles into this place called Hytopia, and it's very sort of Paris themed and Paris based, and they're obsessed with fashion. And the idea of the game is as you earn more like materials and items in each dungeon or each area, you can go back and have different outfits made. With each outfit you get different abilities, like a certain outfit will allow you to do large bombs or 3 arrows instead of 1 arrow at a time, or things like that. So it kind of keeps you replaying certain level, like different dungeons and stuff, to build up your outfits and things like that.
See, it sounds like it could be definitely a fun game.
Mm-hmm.
It's neat seeing kind of a different take on the Zelda franchise, specifically like the handheld franchise of it, that angle of it. But part of me kind of wishes that this exact game had been made. It's not that I don't want the game to be made, but that it hadn't been made by Nintendo. Like, it had been kind of like outsourced, like Hyrule Warriors, where it's like a game within the Zelda world to keep us kind of held over till the next like true Zelda game. But like, I don't know how I feel about it. Like they've already showed where it's gonna be in the timeline, and like it just doesn't feel like it really belongs in the timeline.
You know what I mean? They put Force Sword Adventures and those kinds of things in the timeline too, and it's like, oh, for all of you who are curious, this is where I think it seemed to me when I read that article, it was kind of more like that. It's like, okay, I know some of you want to know, and some of you are going to analyze this stuff. So here, this is where it goes, and it's very much done in the same style as A Link Between Worlds that came out last year, the year before for 3DS. My complaint so far is you can't play with 2 players. It has to be 1 or 3. So yeah, so like to me, it would make sense to be like, okay, well, one of you gets to have to control the totem. If you were going to play with 2 players,
for that is
like
too hard to make the third computer like go across both.
I don't know.
I think that for a game that does want you to play with people, it's really easy. Actually, it's not all that easy probably for kids or for even people our age to find a second person, but to find a third person who has a 3DS who has the game.
Yeah. Well, then I think of people who they're living with their boyfriend or girlfriend, and they're like, "Oh, we both play games." It's like, well, we got to find that third.
Get that third wheel.
We got to get a third wheel in here. So that's a little odd to me, but I could definitely see. Again, I'm not, like I've said before on here, I'm not big into multiplayer stuff, but if I were in the same room with 3 people or with 2 other people, I could see this being a lot of fun of like 2 people sitting down and kind of puzzle solving these things. I don't know if I'd want to tackle the internet and find random people to try to do this stuff with, but
that also without voice chat seems like it could potentially be difficult, right?
Yeah, there's no voice chat. They have little like, not really emoticons, but little buttons you can press like no, yes, over here, yay, I don't know, random shit.
Gotcha.
But so far I'm having fun. I'm only half hour, an hour into the game. Like I'm not very far, but I've just kind of tested the waters a little bit, and of going in expecting what I was expecting and knowing what it is, I'm enjoying it. But don't come into this expecting a full Zelda experience.
I don't. I'll probably get it eventually, for sure. But there is so much out right now.
Yeah, there's a ton out right now and a ton coming out for the fall. The other thing that I saw this week, or was part of what I was up to this week, I saw Crimson Peak. Have you seen Crimson Peak yet or no?
I have not. So this is the latest film from Guillermo del Toro.
Yes.
With really a pretty all-star cast of side actors.
Yeah, Tom Hiddleston, Jessica Chastain, Mia Wachowski.
Wachowski.
I really liked it. I've from a lot of friends and stuff I've talked to, it's kind of been mixed across the board of what people have been thinking of it. It's shot beautifully. It looks great. It blends this kind of old style Hollywood filmmaking and melodrama with new style.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of moments like transitionals where almost like a silent film, like it'll like zoom down on black to like one spot and then open back up. So a lot of things like that, and some of the acting and stuff, like it's good, but it feels very kind of old style Hollywood, like melodrama, like a little bit over, but not super ridiculous. Like it works.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the one thing that really does ring true about it that Del Toro came out and said, this isn't a horror film. This is more of a gothic romance. It really is. The film starts with Mia Wachowski, Wachowski, trying to sell her book to a publisher. She's a writer, and this takes place, if I recall, in the 1800s, 1880s, or something like that. I could be wrong, but that's ringing a bell for some reason. Trying to get her book published, and the guy's like, "This is a ghost story." She's like, "No, it's not a ghost story. It's a story that has ghosts in it." And I think that really kind of captures the movie. It's not. It is sort of a ghost story, but it really is more of a story that has ghosts in it, sort of driving the point home and kind of what the film's about.
Okay. But you liked it.
I did. I like it a lot.
So, like, in the Guillermo del Toro filmography, how would you slot it in?
Not his best and not his worst.
Somewhere in the middle?
Yeah, somewhere in the middle, high middle. For me, Pan's Labyrinth is still my favorite of his films. There's a couple that, before this came out, I wanted to go back and revisit, like Devil's Backbone and Kronos and stuff, some of his older things. I remember really liking those when I saw them, and I haven't seen them just in such a long time. So I don't necessarily want to rate it against that, but I mean
I'm gonna see it soon.
it's definitely worth seeing.
Yeah. I'm excited for it. For me, Del Toro is very hit or miss. We talked
Mhm.
about it. I'm not a fan of like Pacific Rim as an example at all. But some of his movies, I thought Hellboy 2 was fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm actually one of the, some people like it. I actually really dig Blade 2. I think what
I've
he
actually
did with
never
that
seen Blade
was
2.
great. You should check it out. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Crimson Peak.
Cool.
So we'll see it. Crimson Tide, Crimson Peak. Great. So that's what you've been up to.
That's
this
what I've
week?
been up to.
Alright, so I saw 2 movies this week
Okay.
in theaters.
You've been busy.
I have. So I saw Goosebumps, which is the new movie that it's the Goosebumps obviously were extremely massively the best-selling I think actually series of all time. If I remember right, R.L. Stine is like the best-selling author of all
Oh, really?
time. Maybe just behind J.K. Rowling. He has some massive title like that, so people probably know what Goosebumps is. They made a movie, if you aren't familiar, and it basically is like this pretty like meta thing, like sort of like how the Lego Movie approach to it,
Okay.
where it's like it wasn't just about Legos; it had all of it, and it's like self-referential. So this is like in the movie, Jack Black plays R.L. Stine, the author, and it turns out that all of his manuscripts actually like come to life unless he locks them up, and a kid gets into the house and somehow opens up one of the Goosebumps books, and then they all open up, and all the Goosebumps characters are come to life in the real world, and it's sort of a horror comedy, family friendly entertainment along the lines of a movie that I had you watch a few weeks ago, Monster Squad. Kind of in that vein. And I thought this was a pretty fun movie. I dug
Cool.
it. It's definitely, it's not great. It's definitely far from bad. It's thoroughly watchable. I could see myself checking it out a few more times at least. So it's a fun little movie. It is what it is.
I'm looking forward
If you're a fan of those books, I mean, it has like every character in
Mhm.
it. It's pretty awesome in that way. And one of the characters, Slappy the Ventriloquist Dummy, plays a far bigger part than I thought he was going to.
Oh, really?
So that's pretty cool. Good work from Jack Black as
Cool.
well.
I'm looking forward to it. My question is, and this is one of my big concerns. I was a big fan of Goosebumps. I'm sure a lot of you guys were too. The trailer makes it seem very overly like ridiculous and slapsticky, where it's like, oh, he's too tall and he hits the ceiling. Oh, there's this invisible boy and he's gonna slap me in the car. Like that kind of just
they
stupid shit.
definitely added that stuff, which is about as much as you see in the trailer.
Okay.
To the trailer to make sure that kids who aren't familiar with
Mhm.
Goosebumps also go to see it.
Okay.
And it has done very well actually, and so I think that was effective marketing.
Cool.
But yeah, if you're a fan of the books, it definitely captures the vibe of them. It's
Cool.
both. It's got some scares, but it's still for everyone. Fun movie overall. And then I saw Steve Jobs.
All right.
This is obviously the biopic of Steve Jobs
And
from
this-
director Danny Boyle.
This was your most anticipated of the month.
Of the month.
This is both. We both are anticipated.
That's right.
Crimson Peak and Steve Jobs.
So before I even go,
Okay.
Crimson Peak, we're going to do a November preview this
Mhm.
week. So we did our October preview. We chose our most anticipated movie. And did Crimson Peak, was it the best movie you saw in October?
Trying to think of
Did
what
it
I
live
was
up to the
it
predetermined
definitely lived up to probably my hype for it.
Okay. That's good. So my most anticipated movie of the month was Steve Jobs from director Danny Boyle, and screenwriter Aaron Sorkin. It's got an all-star cast with
Mhm.
Fassbender, Seth Rogen, Kate Winslet, Michael Stuhlbarg from Serious Man, Jeff Daniels, among others. And this movie, I was definitely looking forward to it. I started getting a little bit annoyed. I always get annoyed when I see like the TV spots where, I don't know if you saw the Steve Jobs one, but it did that thing where it's like Peter Travers of the Rolling Stones
Oh, yeah,
says
yeah.
Steve Jobs is the next great American film. Michael Fassbender is excellent.
Yeah.
Seth Rogen is wonderful. Kate Winslet changes the game. Like all that stuff. Like I hate when they do that. It's just so like exposit, like just like they're just throwing shit out. But for Steve Jobs, I 100% agree with a TV spot like that. This
Wow.
movie was not only my favorite movie of the year, it is one of my favorite movies of the decade. And
Wow.
I am 100% confident in saying that. And I usually don't just like immediately feel that about a movie, but this movie is unbelievably good. Just so, like, I can't even explain it. The way that, you know, biopics, we've seen 100,000 of
Sure.
these in our lifetime. And this movie, like, Steve Jobs is a guy who, you know, like him or hate him, he did change technology multiple times. He reinvented the wheel. He did, you know, whether it was with, you know, just the original Mac, whether it was with iPods, or with iPads, and, you know, whatever it was, like, he did change it at least 3 times. And this movie reinvents the biopic.
Really?
And it does it in a way, like he did, that other people just aren't going to be able to replicate. Anything else is going to look like an imitator that tries to do
Wow.
it this way. But it does every single thing that a biopic would do without doing it at the same time. And it does it in such a unique way where this movie takes place. It has 3 scenes in the movie.
Okay.
It takes place before the launch of, with the, you know, can't spoil real life, but the movie takes place before the launch of the Mac, before the launch of Next, which is the company Steve Jobs started when he was fired from Apple in the late 80s, and before the launch of the iMac.
Okay.
And that's it. That's what this movie is, but it does everything. Everything that a biopic would do, and just the Sorkin dialogue, Fassbender, like we talked about on a previous show this week, Johnny Depp in Black Mass, I thought was really good. There's been some good performances this year. Fassbender is amazing. Like, he really is. The other actors all do a really good job. Seth Rogen is surprisingly, like, I think he's been effective in other roles where he had to be more serious. But, like, this movie blew me away. Like,
Wow.
you have to check it out.
All
It's
right.
really good. I'd be interested to see what you think about it. But see Steve Jobs. So, again, I talked about the Goosebumps, Steve Jobs, Until Dawn, Halo 5, and Destiny. And then you had Crimson Peak.
Triforce Heroes.
So we had a lot. That's what we were up to this week.
Busy week for us. Well, for you.
Yeah.
Light week for me.
Yes.
If you've seen any of the stuff that we talked about, or played any of the stuff that we talked about today, let us know. Let us know your thoughts on it. If there's something that's out that we need to check out, let us know.
Yeah, there's definitely some big stuff.
Yeah.
Neither of us have seen. Bridge of Spies. the
Yeah, I
Steven
still
Spielberg
gotta
movie.
check that
Yeah,
out. I still gotta see
that
The
out.
Martian. I'm
Wow.
behind, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know. Let us know what you think. Follow us on Twitter. Again, I'm at Rich Belson.
I'm at Stonks.
The channel is at OABeer_official. We're also at Facebook.com/overbeer. You can email us at overabeerofficial@gmail.com. And you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. Unfortunately, we can't make our own custom YouTube URL because we don't have 500 subscribers. I believe at the time of this recording we are at 17. So if you want to add to those numbers, that would be awesome. And then we can go ahead and have our own URL.
Cool.
But if you can find that YouTube channel through either of us or through the Facebook page, again, that's facebook.com/overabeer. Like the video, share with your friends, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the pages. And that's going to do it for today.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
See you guys.
See ya.